All right, so here's the new take. So I need to update you on this. I need to update you, not so much this, but this also. This. I will update you on this. We're going to talk about this in a second. And a couple other things. So, all these things that you see down that way, other than what's up underneath that egg carton thing, is going to be, that is the entire saw. Now I've replaced some stuff. Here is the original gas tank and oil tank. Replaced it with that. This is the original catch for the starter. It's all eaten up, it's broken in multiple places. This is the new one. Starter. This is the old starter. I'm sure that could be broken down, but I didn't break it down because I got lucky and I got a new one. More on that here in a minute. This is the old starter. It doesn't retract like it's supposed to. If this is holding still and you pull that and you kind of do this, tink, 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 those should come out immediately. They don't. You have to pull it out so far, then do the junk, junk, junk. Then they come out, which it would work. Just only people that would know that trick, which kind of makes it useless. So new one doesn't do that. You know, this piece right here comes out immediately. This is the original Repco ignition. You can see there that, you know, you can replace the spark plug wire directly to the coil. That's what makes it different than this one, which is the new one that I bought. Can't do that on this. It's, you know, it's hardwired in. See, it's a part of it. Now, I'll get to the bar here in a second. This, which this is pretty much junk, but there may be pieces that somebody might want to use. This, eventually this carburetor, after I rebuild it, you know, I've got all kinds of stuff here too to do this. So with the carburetor, and all this stuff under here are all extra parts that I have. And if anybody needs any of this stuff, I'm just, you know, just tell me and I'll mail it to you. You know, I'll give it to you. Clutch, that is the new, I actually bought a clutch, but it came with a little bit of broken piece, and the original one is in better shape. So, and I replaced this. This is the one that originally was on the saw. We had went over that in one part where, you know, you see the ridges there, and I was just going to flip it and let it run, but had an extra one in all these extra parts that I received. Talk about that here in just a second. But if you see a part in here, some half moons, some screws, there's the piece that goes, I believe that's the piece that goes in behind the coil. I'm sorry, excuse me. There's a needle bearing that goes to this thing. You know, there, you know, you see them. I'll give them to you. I'll just mail it to you if you need any of that stuff. We'll send to you. You know, but you got to tell me. So all that stuff is free. All this stuff is free. You know, I'll rebuild the carburetor first before I give it to you. It'll be in outstanding condition, but I'll let you do this. And that's pretty much ready to go. It's just got dings and stuff. This is probably, you can use this. You know, you can epoxy that the cracks that are in it, and it'll be good. This is pretty much useless. You know, you might be able to spare parts some stuff. That's what I was wanting to talk about when I said I'll touch more on that in a minute. But that's it, you guys. That's where I'm at with this. You know everything that's going on. I'm going to now move forward with the video. We're going to start with I got to redo the this stuff, the evapo rust. Got to redo that so we can get the rust off of the bar, get the rust off of this thing, and get the rust off of this. And while that's happening, I'm going to do a little trick with this. I'll talk about this in just a second with you. I'll be right back. Okay, so to make all this stuff come full circle, turn that on. You know, I'll hit here and I'll hit there, and I say I'll touch on this and I'll touch on that. What I'm trying to say, you guys, is when I done this, excuse me, I got very lucky. Sometimes you don't know how lucky you are. So if you can see the model number on this, 917-90029. Sorry, 60029. This is from 1965. This is my purchase history here. All right. So I found all kinds of parts that this person was selling on eBay for the 2.9. See there? David Bradley, Craftsman, Sears, you know, however you want to say it. And it was, he had everything that I needed. And I got it from him. And it's going to work. So as long as this ignition sparks, it's going to work. And I believe it's going to. So that's where I keep talking about, you know, when I say I'll touch on this and I'll touch on that, you know, what I'm getting around to is I had to replace a bunch of stuff on this saw, and I can't just go down to Lowe's and purchase it. This is a 1965 model chainsaw, and this specific saw, I can't find any parts for. None of this stuff. So everything that I bought from this cat, I'm very lucky. There's his name. That's eBay. If I click on his name here, hang on. This is what you see. Oh, Lord. Anyway, that's his name on eBay. It's probably going to make me sign in and everything else. Let me see here what it's going to do. Oh, my Lord, it's want me to contain. I am so sorry for this, you guys. Let me see if it permits me straight through, or if it's going to make me do a bunch. Oh, there we go. Okay. That's where it correlated to. Okay. Now, that's not his username. All right. That's probably his store name. His username is not displayed. It's his username is what you're going to usually, that's the key factor as far as the identification. Okay. Right there. Custom chainsaw parts. All one word. All lowercase. This is not from a 1965 David Bradley. That is. That probably is. That probably is. That. You see this little bit of grime here? See how that looks square? The 1965 saws that I see with that number, they don't have a square sticker underneath that. See, this is the one that come off of it. They have a round Sears number. And the 4UG or whatever it's called for the gear driven saw. So that tank could have come off of something else. When it comes to these things, Lord have mercy, that's a rabbit hole that you will just, that's never ending. This motor was in so many different things, you guys. So, but I think I've got a hold of something here. I really do. I mean, it's probably not worth billions of dollars or nothing, but this saw is something for sure. 1965. There is nothing on the internet as far as rebuilding it whatsoever because of how rare it is for these parts. There is nothing manufactured for them, you know. That's, you know, things like that. That's why I'm repairing that, you know. I mean, that's just not obtainable. That's why I say when I got lucky, I got lucky. So we're going to move forward. From this point, I want to talk about this saw blade. And I want to talk about that bearing right there for identifying numbers. I want to talk about that chrome bar. This engine housing piece. Excuse me. That bracket. Sorry. Be right back. Okay, so this piece I would really like to identify with you guys. I just don't think that's getting it with y'all. I don't think that's showing. It may be. You know, what I'm seeing and what you guys are seeing, especially if you're on a 4K 60 refresh rate TV, because that's what this video is. So if you have at least 60 frames per second at 4K, you're getting the top quality of what I'm trying to display here. Anyway, that's the number that I'm getting. Torrington M-1381 space T. Probably don't have to worry about the space T. The Torrington is just, it's the name of the bearing. It says Made in USA on it. So I haven't tried this yet. So when I bring this in close, I don't really know what you guys are seeing on this magnification here. I don't know if you're seeing that. I can see the end of the end there on the left, and then I don't know what you're seeing there. Okay, so there's an asterisk. Made in USA. Okay, so I've got this thing turned around backwards. Hang on. Right here is something that goes in really close. I don't know what that's going to do here. So that's Made in USA. Goofy thing, I'm telling you. Get it to focus here. It was working out pretty good there. There we go. All right, so there's an M. You can see that hyphen, 1, and then that's a 3. That is an 8, and then that is a 1, and there's a space there, and that's a T. So there's your numbers. Yes, that is most certainly a 3. Sorry, this goofy thing, I don't know what it's doing to me, but you know, made in USA, blah, 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 but right here's your numbers. That is an M, hyphen 1. It's not wanting to focus, just whatever. Anyway, that's the number that I'm getting, you guys. And that's that right there. It's on that website. Spareparts.com. Spare parts. M1381 Torrington. That's the bearing that I'm seeing. So, this is just a cover, I suppose, because it doesn't look like that cover comes with that bearing. That's what that bearing looks like when I do that. It may come with that cover, I don't know. But when I flip that over, you see the needle bearing. So it's very likely if you order the bearing, you'll just get that needle bearing and not this part. So when you press it out, you'll put you something here, you know, going all up against the surface area of that. Press it out. It's very possible that this is just a case. You know, I don't know. I'm not replacing this, but that's what I came up with. Torrington M1381. There's the bearing. There's the sizing. That's what it's showing. Most likely your bearing isn't bad. You know, there's 1980H. There's another number for you. This casing. Let's see if I can get numbers here. It don't matter. That's the number. The one that I showed to you. You're not going to get any more than that. But like I was saying earlier, you know, this, what I see here and what you're seeing, especially if you're on a 4K 60 frames per second, you actually see a pretty good lot right there. So anyway, that's the number that I got. Torrington, that's the name brand, made in USA, but it says M-1381 space and then T. Of course, there's no space and then T there. It's just Torrington 1381. There's your bearing. So spare parts, you know, sp-spareparts.com, but I'm pretty sure you can probably just go to that, spareparts.com. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break out the good stuff. What have I done with it? It's here somewhere. Oh, I've got it waiting over here. So I'm going to take and fill this back up. Got to fill it back up. And we're going to do the bar. Take this off first. And we're going to do this. And we're going to do this. You got your bearing, and then I'll touch on the chain bar. So be back in a second. Okay. Got this piece off of the fuel tank and oil tank. Good enough. We'll lay that there. I also have this piece here, shaven down fairly well, the wire brush. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and loosen those two bolts, and that will remove the bolts in the bracket from the bar, and I will dip the bracket, the bolts, the bar. And these two pieces we just discussed into here once again with the miracle stuff. I'll be back with you in just a moment. And just to note, you have your screw head, then you also have a lock washer, and then it goes through multiple layers here. And then of course on the end is the nut. And that does the same with that one. As you can see, that nut literally just fell off. As you can see, when I pull that out, it's just the washer. And I will put all that into the Vaporest. I'll be right back with you. Okay, got all that stuff in the Vaporest. Fuel tank, bracket, the engine cover, the bar, all the hardware for the bar is also submerged. I'll have to turn this a couple times to get completely what I'm wanting out of it, but she's in there soaking, ready to go. One last thing that I wanted to update you guys on that I've been trying to get to is the bar here. So these are the paints that I've chosen for the cap. I took this into Sherwin-Williams, this cap and this cap, and they put it under their machine, and these are the closest matches that they have for paint color. So, you know, that's saying 120, there you go, for the cap. And this is for the oil cap. Of course, it needs to be a little bit more metallic, as you can see, and these are the corks. But I don't know if these are the correct corks or not. So this one's harder than this one. So I'm assuming this one is for the fuel, which is this one, which is kind of confusing because this is softer. I'm thinking this is the oil. If this is the oil, it lines up perfectly, as you can see, that hole with that. But the problem is if you was to put this cork on the other side of this, it wouldn't fit. See that little nipple sticking up in the middle? It just wouldn't work out. So, you know, and that's further confusing as far as, you know, this is in the center, there's a hole here. And if this is the one that goes in the oil, that doesn't make sense. But, like I was saying, there's no way this one could have went in there because of the center cap. And this is hardened, which means it probably is the one for the fuel, but maybe it's not for these two caps. So I'm not 100% sure. I've got some cork here. I'm gonna make my own eventually. Hopefully I'll figure this out exactly how that goes. But the two paints that I'm gonna be using is actually different than these two. I just kind of wanted to show you guys that. And at this point, I'm just gonna let that stuff soak over there in the Vaporest, and we're gonna go from there, you guys. We're coming right along. Actually, at this point, all the mechanical stuff has been shown. You guys can do everything on your own. At this point, I'm just going to be doing cleaning and painting like this. I'm going to be putting like a lacquer on this to brighten it up, make it look brand new. I'm going to clean it with something. I'm not sure what yet. Get the oil off of it and go from that point. And of course, I'm going to be tackling this carburetor that come off of it here very soon in the video. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this and that it's helping you. Be right back with you. All right, let's check on our parts here, see if we need to turn them. So the part on this bar here, this is the bad part, the really bad part anyway. After that should be done. Yep, it sure did it. Okay, now I need to get the other side of this bar, and I may have to do some funky stuff, but maybe not. Well, I could get a lot of it that way, so I'll let that sit for a while. And all these other pieces should be done. Oh yeah, look at there. Just the paint. This stuff is something else. So that looks good. Takes all the rust off, but not the paint. That's magnificent. That one looks good. That was all rusted real bad. This one was rusted all to pieces. Looks like it's brand new. All that right there will rub right off, I guarantee. Yep. Okay, so oh no, also too, I want to touch on the paint really quickly. So see that gray there? You can see that gray on that paint. That's the original color. Almost the entire saw is that color. That orange hardly isn't anywhere. It's on the cap, and I think there might have been one or two other places. Actually, even this right here is gray. I've got pictures of the saw off of the site of this exact model, and I'll show you the colorings of it. So naturally, you know, when you're restoring something or whatever, you paint it how you want it, but a lot of people want it as closest to original as possible, which is what I'm going to do. But that's the gray that it mostly consists of, the numbers that I showed you, and then, you know, this orange is the lid, and I can't remember what else it was that was orange like that. I'll have to look. It might not have been anything. So, but I just wanted to touch up on you on that. Oh, right there. That's right. Tip of the chainsaw blade was orange also. I'm not sure what else was, but everything else is pretty much this, which I'm not going to paint the engine. Now the engine, I don't know if it was painted or not. I think maybe it wasn't painted that gray. You know, so one of those things where I'll just have to show that the pictures, you know, of the saw, the best pictures that I have of it in that era. Oh yeah, this stuff works great. So I'll flip this over, let that soak this way, and I'll leave them 2 screws in there. Oh yeah, these nuts and bolts. Oh wow, that's crazy how good that works. That thing was so rusted. Unbelievable, in my opinion. Same thing with these. These were all rusted up too. Look really good now. So, well, we'll let that sit and soak, and we'll come back on that. And also too, I want to let you know that I'll probably will be, before I start painting and everything, I'd say there's a lot of people wanting me to do this carburetor, which there are some videos that you can find on there, but I've watched them all and I've kind of brung everything together, and I'm going to do a specific way of doing all this. So I'll probably do that next, actually, after we get them parts over there done. So I'll be right back with you here in a day or so, which to you it's just seconds. So to check on them other parts over there in the rust, evapo rest. See you in a second. And one more thing real quick, just wanted to mention, I know I haven't touched on this thing on the fuel tank much, in the oil tank, but I'll show, you know, you can see there's a fuel line down in there with the filter on the end of it, and I think that's all there is in there. And this thing's, I'm assuming this thing is, I don't know, I got to do research on it, but I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth. You know, there's the pump in it, and there's a spring on this backside and stuff, you know. So I will be taking that apart and going through and kind of explaining how things are with this, you know. So people that's been wondering if I'm going to, yes, I'm literally trying to cover every last detail of this saw. The only thing that I haven't gone into extreme detail on is this, the motor, which I have a video for that, and then that thing, the starter. Everything else, well, and this, there's, you know, I go into some detail on this, but not, you know, I don't completely disassemble all that. So But there's videos all over the internet. Just make sure when you search for this stuff, look for stuff that are like lawn mowers style or chainsaw style coils, the older ones. And you'll find those all over. Anyway, just wanted to kind of touch base on that real quick and let you know that I will be going over the fuel tank and how it goes together and how the fuel feeds into the carburetor and all that stuff. So got to do a little research on it still. All right, it's been a couple days. That's way too long to leave in, but I guess I'll hurt it. Oh yeah, I threw this part in there. The throttle linkage. I'll take it. I'm gonna check all this stuff out here in a second, see where it's at. And then I'm probably gonna have to maneuver this a certain way to get a couple certain spots on this stuff that I'm wanting to make sure that I get. This stuff moved over here. Grab the bar. Take this over here. Take and wipe this stuff off and see what she looks like. I'm going to set the camera up a little bit better for you so you can get a better view on what I'm doing. All right, let's get us a rag here. Take and wipe this off. If there's still a spot there in the center, you can see it there where I haven't gotten it, but I can clean most of that up with Scotch-Brite pads. There was one area that I wanted to focus on this piece, and I believe I got it all. Kind of wipe it. Look here how that stuff does. That's something else. All this I can wipe up myself or something. Rust is what I'm mainly wanting off of this right now. And I do believe I'm to the point with all this stuff where I don't have to really soak this anymore. Yep. This piece would be good enough. I'll take and Scotch-Brite it and take some kind of solvent to it. I know I've been going on about Dawn and soap, which it does work good, but I might try and use something else a little bit too, some kind of solvent take to it. Not sure what yet though. We'll see. Soap water and wire brush might do it, but sometimes solvents will help out a little bit better than Dawn. It'll do about as good. You just be using a lot of elbow grease. And this little piece here, oh yeah, rust is completely gone. No rust whatsoever. I probably won't paint that. Maybe the trigger. Yep, no rust. That part's finished. Now check out this bar here. Uh-oh, I gotta find that. There it is right there. It's on there. So, I'd like to have this re-dipped in chrome. I don't know if I'm going to have to or not. Just have to kind of play that out and see. The most part of it, good, it looks like. A little bit of stuff dripping out of here. Let me let that out of there. Anyway, this bar is looking good. I can take me some fine steel wool, some 000 steel wool, and some kind of a polish, and probably maybe get the rest of this. There is a little bit there that I might want to get. And right here, there's a bad spot right there. But I'm gonna get this box set up over here real quick. Get this bar down in there at a certain angle like I'm wanting, and I'll be right back with you. All right, I've got her container angled up on the jug there. And I'm gonna let that spot right there that I was showing, that bad spot, hang on a second, right there, soak for a little while. See if that won't come out of there. And we'll check on it here tomorrow and see where she stands. See you in just a sec. All right, it's been a day or so. Let's grab this bad boy out and see if it got that spot off of there. Oh, most of it did, it looks like. Yeah, boy. Let's go over here and pop it off here. See what we got. I'm going to set you up on a stand and be right back. So I believe we've got a little bit of pitting there. That's why I wanted to maybe re-dip this thing. See what it looks like here. Yeah, there sure is. Maybe I can wrap that spot some kind of leather or something. Or maybe 000 steel wool and some metal polish also might line it out. I don't know. Rest of it's looking pretty good though. You can see every little tiny detail on this, you know, 4K, 60 frames a second, you're going to see everything, but right there I'm going to soak. So I'm going to stick that right back down in there and show you whenever I get it in there. I'll be right back. There we go. This will probably be the last soak for the bar. Got that carburetor holding that side down. I took the skinner off of it. I think all that thing. Put all that fluid liquid over on that side there. Submerge that little bit there like I wanted. That carburetor's not getting anything, but I did dip it down in there once, so I might just do it whenever we go to rebuild that. I'd like to have a jewelry cleaner or ultrasonic cleaner, whatever you want to call it, to do it with. Like I'm saying, I got a whole other brand new carburetor, but that right there is going to be something that a lot of people's going to want to see. So I've got some pretty good info on it, so we'll do it to it on the carburetor here. But we'll let that soak for a little bit, and after that, I do believe it's time to start cleaning everything and wiping. And of course, like I said, you know, the carburetor there, I may very well do it next. So see you in a second. All right, this will hopefully be the last of trying to get rid of any rust on anything as far as the major components. So let's get this bad boy pulled out of there and put over on the shelf. Check it out. All right, all the rust is gone off of this beauty. We got a couple blemishes. I think we're going to be able to manage with these though. But all that looks really good. You know, the way I'm holding this is going to show you every little last tiny imperfection. But, you know, if I get back here and video it, it just looks perfect, which is most people how they're going to see it. But this is going to be down on the bottom, near the bottom of the saw. So I'm not sure how much that's going to be seen. And then the main bottom of it, like when you sit the saw on the ground, you see a little bit there where it's been probably sat down on concrete and stuff through the years. But I'll take some 000 steel wool, you know, some real fine steel wool. You know, a lot of people just use SOS pads on stuff like this, but you know, all kinds of different ways of doing this. Another one of those things on variation is just there's a lot of it, but I'm going to take some steel wool 000 is what I'll use. and some metal polish to it when I get to this point. And that I'll probably wrap something in, you know, some leather or something like I was saying. But I may also have it re-dipped. So the bar, the update on the bar, I called a guy here where I'm at. Just spoke with him today. He's on for the project. I explained to him that it's for my grandfather and it's going to be influenced toward, you know, the career that my papaw did in the coal mines as a dozer operator. So he's on board with it. And I wanted to touch base on these colors again real quick. This is the original color of the gas cap. You know, that's the gas cap. And this is the oil cap. And I think those numbers, I think you want to pay attention to the SW6883 maybe. Anyway, all that information will show you what you need. Same thing with the gray. The adaptive shade is what they call that. And of course, like we were saying, looks like this has a little bit more metallic in it, but this is the closest color they had. So depending on how specific you're wanting to redo yours, if you're doing this specific saw, you know, like I've got something that looks a little bit more metallic. I'll show it to you here when we get to that point, but I just wanted to update you on those. And these I haven't found out about yet. Like I was saying, this seems like it would have gone into here because it's hardened, but you would think that this one would go in there because it's got that hole there and the cap has a hole here. But you can't fit that inside of here because of that nipple there in the center. So you'd think that this would go in there. I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure that out as I go along. I just wanted to kind of update you on that real quick on those two colors of the saw. And those are the only two colors that I know of that are on the saw. And I will show you some pictures from the best I can find on the internet of what the original saw looked like, you know. That's the bar. Now, everything's pretty much broken down except for, I haven't gone into that yet. And I believe that's what I'm getting ready to do right now. See you in just a sec. Okay, here's the fuel tank and the oil tank. This is your fuel side. This is your oil side for the bar over here. And you got your plunger pump, that little apparatus there. And looks like to me that it's just that one nut there, right here. We'll see in a second. I'm going to take that nut off, see if I can pull that out. And, oh, so when I was disassembling the saw, there's this piece right here that goes on the oil tank side. And got it placed with this over here in the tool pile because or in the parts pile, because I'm not sure when exactly I extracted this, but this does go into your oil tank. And one side is bigger than the other as far as diameter. This is the smaller side right there. See that piece? I'm gonna screw that back on here in just a second, show you what it looks like with it on there, just for disassembling reasons. Be right back. Okay, so I've been fiddling with this. All right, so this is for your fuel line. This is for your oil line, which is metal. Now it runs up to the head where your bar goes into. That metal line does anyway. And right here's your pump. So, you know, and other than the two caps and the mounting piece, that's all this is. All this thing is. Now, this thing isn't a solid mold, and I'll show you why here in just a second. You know, this tank isn't just like one piece mold, and I'll show you why here in a minute. But so this fuel line, or a fuel adapter, which I've already got it loosened, when you pull this out, it's already got a filter on there. I'm assuming, you know, they make the mesh filter, however, and then they probably cement it into this fitting, because I pulled on it a little bit to see if I could extract it, and I couldn't. Didn't pull on it a whole lot. You know, I took a pick to it to kind of clean around the edges real good and stuff. but I didn't fool with it too much because that's the original filter and I'm going to reuse that. But what looks like people's doing, so here's a new fuel tank. Looks like what people's doing is they're taking that out, probably keeping it, probably if it's there. And then they'll get this piece, which has just got a nipple on the other side, and then they'll put a hose on here. And then they'll run that hose up through the tank and bring it out this side, okay? And they'll screw this in. And then when this hose comes out of here, they'll put on their own little fuel filter. And all it is it's just a little filter that goes on the end of it. It's probably about that long, you know, with real small cylinder around. And it just goes on the end of this, on the other end of this hose. So they stick the hose on, screw that in, they, you know, fish the hose out, and then they'll cut that line to where it's right here, and they'll put that little filter on it, and they'll just drop it down into where it sits down in the bottom of that tank. Well, that's how they do that. But this is the original one, and this is the one that I'm going to use. So I just wanted to point that out so everybody would know, in case if yours ain't got one, you know, you could do it this way over here, how you put that line on the end of this. You know, you got to get this piece, put your line on there, screw that in down there, run your line out here, you know, trim it off or whatever, and then put your filter on there and let it drop down inside. But I'm going to use this one. And now I'll show you how the oil pump works. Be right back. All right, so the oil pump, you have this piece here, this little fitting, it screws in to the tank. This is part of the tank that, you know, right here what I got my 2 fingers on. This is not, that is not a part of the tank. And then you've got this piece over here. So when you take this piece off, I've already got it loosened. You see this, what it looks like there. That's what that looks like, okay? Now, whether or not they still make these, I don't know. I don't know exactly how that piece is pieced in there, that little piece in the center there, and exactly how that works. And I'm sorry if that is not helping you. That's dirty, you can't see through it, so I'll have to clean that out. When I clean it, I'll show again, see if we can get a better understanding of it. And then there's a spring that you pull out. You know, naturally that's what makes your plunger go in and out. And over here you got this nut. Just loosen your nut. And then you can unscrew this piece. And there's that's your plunger itself. And I don't know what that pin is. Obviously it's holding something, or, you know, this is probably a 2-piece thing, maybe even more than that. Like this piece right here, you probably can unscrew this off the shaft, and then this piece probably comes out, and then as you can see, there's something there on the tip. But guys, I don't know exactly what that is. It probably has something to do with air, maybe air, to be able to make the pump work whenever you're pushing it in and out. And then down inside of the tank, well, I'll have to, hang on, see if I can't get this thing to sturdy right here for me. Here, let me get my light, hang on, sorry. Down inside of the tank, if I can get my camera to focus and get light down in there. Oh, Lord. Okay, I can't get that to focus though. There we go. Okay, so down in there, there's a hole where you see where the shaft piece that you're looking at goes into the bottom. There's a hole just before that shaft piece I'm talking about hits the bottom of the oil tank. That's where obviously the oil is pulled in at, and that's a weld right there. So this tank has some different construction to it. I'm trying to show the rest of that piece in there. that your plunger goes into. Anyway, that's where the plunger goes into, and you can see that hole down in there. I don't know if you can see it on the end of that shaft there where the plunger runs through near the bottom. Anyway, that little shaft thing I'm talking about is welded into the bottom of this tank. So if you can see these seams right here, I'd say this is a 2-piece tank. I'd say you have these 2 pieces, and you know, they weld this little piece over here and whatever else, you know, that they can do to dress and condition. And then this band right here is another piece, I'd say. I'd say there's this band, and they take these 2 pieces and they squish them together into this band, and they solder them or glue them or whatever it is that they do to them. And they do all that, you know, basically just for that plunger. You know, and naturally this is the piece for the fuel nipple that comes out, you know, in this centerpiece right here I was talking about. So that is how the fuel or the tank works with everything. I am not going to disassemble this completely. You know, I don't think anybody that has this is going to have a problem. I think if you have your tank, this piece right here will be just fine. If not, you know, leave something down in the comments. If I need to make a specific video and completely tear this down for somebody for whatever reason, I will. If so, make sure, you know, you got to leave the comment though for me to know, you know. So that's the conclusion of the tank. That's how the tank works.